play that to pretty good success as well, and we keep just pegging down the champions back and forth between these two teams.
Yeah, and we were thinking that Fiora was going to be a really big priority pick in this matchup between Darshan and Hanser because both of them have shown very good Fiora games. Don't know if it's first pick worthy though. It'll be very interesting to see what happens, you know, with stuff like Graves still up, Corki ends up falling on the ban side.
Yeah.
Alistar still exists.
Kallista's up too.
Now, what is it going to be?
Looking like the hover is on Alistar. Alphabetically, it's the first one up of those champions we listed. So.
And that's how CLG drafts.
Yeah, you know, Akali and Nivea going to be joining this roster soon, for certain. But taking their time, of course, you never want to get this one wrong. You never know what your opponents are going to ban against you, and with TSM having fairly generic bans, it's even less predictable, I would say, in some sense. You expect some level of target bans, but Smithy will get whatever tank he wants, almost for sure. Not a lot of top lane bans go through, and that does mean that Ryze is up. Not the Alistar, but a big carry Ryze for probably Darshan.
Yeah, Darshan played it 2 times in a row in week 4, once against Immortals where he had the good start and then went too hard, and then against Impulse where he was much more subdued and had a more successful game. So still a powerful carry threat out of the top lane for Darshan, but also, honestly, a little bit less of a split pusher. So CLG will be looking to fight a little bit more frequently than we see him when he's on a more traditional split pusher like Fiora.
Right, you either gank his lane and blow that person up, or you just bring him into the team fights and it'll be clean set from there. So we will see Darshan alongside his teammates more than normal in this one. Damage value is probably going to be higher than 412. We'll see. Yeah, most likely, you know, a couple zeros behind that number here. Of course, the probably most contested bottom lane in all of League of Legends right now is that Kalista plus Alistar. No surprise that TSM picks it up. Very contested as both Stixxay and Doublelift are great at Kalista, and both Aphromoo and Yellowstar are happy to play some Alistar in this one.
Yeah, the one time Doublelift got Kalista this year, he went 13, 4, and 10.
Right.
Which was rather successful. It was comboed with Alistar at the time, and it's also what Yellowstar wants to be on to make the most plays. TSM is putting a very large playmaking burden on him, and the Fate's Call plus just being Alistar enhance that capability so much more.
It creates a lot of scariness, but that means that Morgana gets picked up to be a bit more of a defensive option here in this support role, put the Black Shield on, keep people safe. But oddly enough, Ashe picked up here for Stixxay. We have not seen a lot of Ashe right now. You can see first pick in the North American LCS right here, goes to Counterlogic Gaming doing it, and they're up against Graves Fiora.
Yeah, and if we're looking at public perception of OP champions right now, TSM is loaded. They have the jungle Graves, the top lane Fiora, and Kalista Alistar in the bottom lane. That is a picture-perfect draft, and they still get to counterpick mid lane for Bjergsen. Like, this draft has been going amazingly well for TSM. But we always say, playing against CLG, you're playing a different game.
Yes, you are.
So while these picks are very strong for most games we see, CLG probably has a plan for trying to do it.
They have a plan, but even with that, I look at TSM's roster and I like Ashe against none of these champions. Oh, Kalista saves the Alistar, or Alistar pops the ulti. Fiora reposts it, and we'll see it coming. If Hanser misses a repost on an Enchanted Crystal Arrow, it's a mistake as opposed to an outplay by Stixxay here. So just so many risks to have for CLG to pick Ashe into, but they wanted to do it, and they get to pick their last 2 champions here, which will be the victor in the Rek'Sai.
Wow, CLG invested super hard into getting Ryze as a first pick and stopping TSM from having it, even though TSM has not really played Ryze at all.
Yeah.
But even so, we'll see how this plays out in-game. A lot of magic damage, so that's the wave clear with the Ashe, and yeah, you don't really see it coming together much stronger in teamfights as well, so I feel like CLG is going to have to really outplay TSM here based on the compositions.
We'll see if they can make that one happen. Last 30 seconds for the pick for TSM. You mentioned CLG having to outplay, and you're absolutely right. Good luck getting the arrows, good luck getting the engages. But a lot of people are uncomfortable champions, so we'll see just how well this goes here. Once again, TSM not really target banning anything special. So CLG have to expect this is a comp they want to do, and the last pick goes through as Lissandra in for Bjergsen. So now they've both got some nice Freljord-based engage tools here, as Lissandra and Ashe can certainly start team fights. Yeah,
and I also think Lissandra is probably the best champion in the game to pair with Graves. It's a huge amount of CC lockdown, and it enhances the Graves burst. Plus, Graves burst can come from such long ranges. It also guarantees the bounce back on the Q if Graves gets in range.
Yeah.
Just all types of threats on Team Solomid. Absolutely love their draft right here.
Totally agree. Power picks and synergy kind of the whole way through. CLG throwing a curveball with Ashe. The rest of their comp, not champs you'd be surprised to see on CLG.
Totally.
But all put together, they're not really the sort of S and A tier champions you expect to see in every single game. So, CounterLogic Gaming putting together a draft they think will work and they think will be good for them. TSM picking things that we expect to see from every team every single time. So as we get ourselves into the game, this is going to be an exciting one. CounterLogic Gaming currently 1-0 against TSM on the split so far, and as two teams battling for second, a tiebreaker could be important.
Yeah, absolutely. 2-0 for CLG over TSM in the regular season would be very good for this team's morale, and we probably feel pretty good.
I gotta say, it's gotta feel pretty good to beat your rivals 2-0. We're gonna see if they can do it. We want you guys at home, of course, to send your votes to @LollySports on Twitter, but we also want you guys here in Los Angeles to share your votes here as well. Who's it going to be? CLG, TSM, CLG, TSM. Let us know who it's gonna be. Start out the rivalry. Here we go into the game. CounterLogic Gaming versus TSM.
And we talk about these team compositions, Freak, but at the same time, you look at the mistakes that TSM has been making throughout the year without great team coordination, and there are a lot of things on CLG that can catch TSM out of position. Through the Morgana, to the Ashe, Smithy can do it, Darshan can do it with teleports, so they didn't get the super S-tier champions, but they definitely have champions that can play towards their style.
Yeah, rotating around the map constantly, catching people out. Ooh, speaking of that, Binding nearly lands. Stixay auto into volley, gets a bit of a slow, and second round of the Dark Binding could come through. Sven walks away quickly enough.
TSM's actually in position to counter this if they were to go in further.
Ooh, you gotta watch for it here. Bjergsen's around the wings, but has no way of landing hard CC without burning flash. And CounterLogic Gaming will be able to walk away quite safely. They got 2 wards in that jungle, and they're not very deep, so it will not track lane assignments or even jungle starts for quite some time.
Yeah, CLG didn't get the traditional ward, which is behind the second tier turret and the inhibitor defending turret. But at the same time, TSM didn't have a full defensive line set up and didn't get the return deep ward. So it's still technically CLG that has the better deep ward coverage with that invade.
I think pretty significantly, they also got one on the blue buff on the right side of the map. TSM got literally nothing. So yeah, all said and done, advantage, though small, to CLG. We get ourselves into the laning phase here as the mid laners do battle, and the lineups are actually going to match up here. Morgana and Ashe doing the Krugs as Doublelift and Yellowstar take down the Gromp.
Yeah, looks like Yellowstar took a little bit less damage than Stixay and Afro, but it's going to be all about the level 2 right here, as I think they both caught them.
I don't think
they didn't catch the first minion, though.
Okay. A bit of damage. Nice shot right there. Doublelift getting injured. And Afro knows Alistair can't do anything to him really early in the game without burning flash for it, and Afro thinks he's safe enough. Trinket in the brush, and Afro again will just continue to zone this team because at level 1, CLG's duo is just stronger. And now they're level 2 first, which makes it even more risky.
Yeah, and then once they get level 3, they're going to have the Black Shield advantage on the Alistair as well, because they could go technically Q, W, and E, but he gets E second to attempt to block and all in. So
against Alistair, I think you have to.
Already has the Black Shield advantage.
Darshan, ooh, nice riposte by Hanser, expects the Rune Prison, gets it right. That'll be a fun game to watch as well. You can't riposte Rune Prison on Reflect, it's only on Prediction. So these people guessing when they're going to do it is going to be fun.
Trying to find the pattern within Darshan. Also, sometimes Ryze can cast like 3 or 4 spells in the duration of her pause, so it really depends.
You can block the whole combo. Smithy lurking in the top side of the map is level 3 right now. We'll go for Scuttle first. Clears that, of course, pretty quickly since Rek'Sai has a knock-up in the kit. But
extremely healthy jungle clear for Smithy here. It looks like he started without the refillable.
Double potions.
Of course, Graves can clear the jungle without taking damage if he is doing it properly. By
charges on the refillable, Did not take damage. Smithy used 3 potions, I should correct myself, I believe it costs.
Yeah, the nice thing about this is we get the standard lane matchups.
Yeah.
Which then makes us, it allows us to pay more attention to the jungle pathing. So Svenskeren ends up walking by an early ward, but he has cleared the jungle so quickly here.
And everyone else is trading close to equally. Temporary lead for Darshan up here. Yellowstar hoping to make sure that Svenskeren can get into this lane quickly.
We're going to see ganks in multiple lanes here. Smithy knows there's no counter gank because he saw Graves earlier.
Hanser rooted. Can they outplay Riposte? Nice knock-up. Flash cycle goes through into Hanser. A fair bit of damage comes through. The flash follow as well. Hanser getting chunked down into the turret. 60 getting without even burning a summoner spell. Just walks away with Black Shield on, but losing a lot of health.
Yeah, I think that actually favors TSM in both cases. CLG burned 2 flashes top lane for 1, doesn't get the kill in a lane that can teleport back, whereas TSM, even though they didn't have any summoners exchanged, got 6A low enough that he has to recall. So the teleport can easily be used for Hanser to catch the experience on the backside, whereas TSM is stealing a lot of experience down bottom. No gold exchanged, but definite experience edges on TSM.
Absolutely true, and Huhi really getting pushed around by Bjergsen. Look at the damage up there, puts the E forward, and he's gonna flash in for the first blood! Bjergsen crushes Huhi!
Wow, that is huge for this. Bjergsen, it's been a while since we've seen him solo kill like that. It's something that used to be commonplace back in 2014, but here, Huhi with the cleanse, trying to get some farm. No jungle pressure whatsoever. We just seen ganks in both lanes, but he landed enough lasers early. Sorry, he's not Victor. Huhi missed enough lasers, and Bjergsen had landed enough Q pokes through the minions that he just gets all the damage down. Doesn't care if he's flashing on top of the gravity field because he knows it's about to expire. Bjergsen just completely outplaying Huhi there. Looked like Huhi was trying to overstay a little bit because Victor loves to get the first Hex car upgrade and then boots, and he was just on 1,000 gold, so he really shouldn't have been there, but Bjergsen had the level advantage, the wave advantage, and punishes properly. Really nicely done. Huhi just now hitting level 5 off of this one. Did get the upgrade at the very least, so at level 7 he can like one-shot caster minions, but it is Bjergsen who is ahead now. Level 6, Cleanse and Flash are both up for Huhi, and Bjergsen's Flash is down, which will make him have to respect the chance of a gank just a little bit more. Yeah, there is a very finite window where Bjergsen could throw out his claw. If xMsmithy is able to knock him up right there, he wouldn't be able to take it. But as far as not having flash up, Bjergsen just can't get super aggressive because he will always have the Lissandra E away if he wants. Yep. Now Svenskeren right now will kill away the ward that Smithy just put down with the Tracker's Knife. And both these junglers have vision of each other, and Smithy will not even try to contest the blue buff, it looks like. Oh no, you're kidding me! Svenskeren mistimes the Q burst. Smithy gets the blue after all. The 10 health blue buff Prey Seeker there from xMsmithy, and that leapfrogs him above Svenskeren.
Oh man.
Because he clears the Crop and the blue at the same time.
Still denied from Huhi. Advantage TSM in a way. Aside from Svenskeren losing all that time, but that's just unfortunate.
Trying to be clever.
Yep. And he will just slink through in this lane. Down about 10 CS against his lane opponent. And of course, props to Bjergsen for getting that kill to make that happen. Yeah, this will be really interesting in this game, though, because we hear CLG talk about how Huhi is a better roamer than Pobelter was, and they don't care if he falls behind in lane. But when you get straight up 1v1 solo killed, you have to wonder about your ability to roam. How much pressure is going to be in mid lane, and will Bjergsen actually be able to roam early since he is always shoving Huhi in? I really want to track how Bjergsen roams versus how Huhi roams, since Victor is a fairly static champion who just sits in lane and wave clears until the late game. He's going to get this one binding, and Sixbit gets it. CLG 2v1, out last hit Svenskeren. Second camp in a row, Sven's lost now, trying to counter jungle. Yes, Svenskeren has fallen pretty far behind in experience. 2 major camps going away from him right here. xMsmithy level 6.5 now taking his red away. So for whatever pressure advantage they have. Ulti popped in, Bjergsen wants to 1v1 Huhi. He still gets stunned by the gravity field, actually. Yellowstar roaming around behind the turret. Not level 6, though. Rek'Sai ulti pop. Smithy says hello, and Bjergsen thankfully pushes the wave in. Smithy still wanting to do something. Small knockup on a Yellowstar, still level 5, headbutt into Pulverize, pulled back in by Doublelift, and now Smithy has nowhere to go, but there's the flash bind on a Doublelift. The damage still coming through, including a Prey Seeker. Exhaust burn, but Svenskeren picks up the kill from downtown. Hits him with the water balloon, 2 for 0 TSM. It looked a little dicey when TSM had Doublelift get bound, but they had such an inherent advantage before the fight because of all the pre-fight damage Bjergsen could do onto Huhi, so Huhi couldn't return the damage. Looks like he actually died without casting his ultimate, which is also unfortunate. He was really low on mana, so if he uses a laser, he wouldn't have enough for his ultimate left. Yeah, he used all his spells, just didn't have the mana, but at the same time, that's when CLG goes in. Huhi should never have cast that gravity field. Then he could have followed up on this binding from Afromu. Yeah. With the teleport coming in, though, Svenskeren had finally hit yellow level 6 after all of his unlucky counter jungling attempts. Yeah. Gets the ultimate off, and this is a pretty big early game edge for TSM. Really solid stuff by TSM here. Darshan even used his teleport at the end of that fight. Hanser didn't need to use it, and so we've got a significant lead in every single solo or carry lane, I should say, lane
Yeah.
For TSM on those 3 champions. This is good for them.
Well, you kind of have to wonder what happened in the CLG game plan. They didn't get enough deep wards down to start the game, but I mean, CLG beat TSM last time by just lane swapping them dead.
Yeah.
Here we're seeing standard lanes, and TSM is a team that hasn't really been able to communicate and synergize with each other.
Right.
Well, they can still lane really well. This is still a superstar team, and Bjergsen showed that. He beat Huhi. Hanser has been going head-to-head with Darshan, and then Double FNAF, who lost the level 2 war, but have still been able to stay easily even with Stixxay. So, like, you really expected CLG to lane swap coming into this one.
Sure.
And force a lot of map movements, but that just has not been the case.
They did not find it. Smithy managing to outplay the Sentinel of Doublelift, so they don't know he's right there, but the ward comes in, and he can be totally fine. 3 members of TSM down on this side of the map. They're going to kill all those wards again as the Raptor buff stays on. 70 gold earned from all the warding.
3 for the price of 1.
CLG says thank you. Push the gold up a little bit here as it's only an 1,100 gold lead for TSM. Those kills are worth 1,050. Actually, no, less than that, 850, because it was a solo first blood there for Bjergsen. So the small farm lead making up the rest of that gold lead that TSM enjoys right now. After earning some money thanks to Dark Bindings and Tormented Soils, but a game that is being controlled right now by Svenskeren and the rest of TSM, putting the wards down. Tracker's Knife plus Warrior Enchant already done.
They're looking for more follow-up. The cleanse is still down for a short amount of time. CLG is trying to counter gank, well, just to also do a gank in the bottom lane. But
nice. So one of the advantages of not switching your trinket out, I mean, Yellow Star's not 9 anyway, but its cast range is very, very high, and it reveals champions. It gives the outline, so you can actually check brushes from outside of ward range and outside of getting killed range with the sweeper. Season Smithy. Stay safe.
Then Yellowstar also had the rare swag laugh afterwards after he was able to spot Smithy. Feeling pretty confident. And why wouldn't you be on Alistair Callisti? It's like impossible to die.
It really
on
often
ultimate, and never runs out, Callisti just throws you backwards.
Ooh, Bjergsen staying inside the brush. He dodging the Qs pretty well. And of course, that's with a blue buff on Bjergsen, so it's kind of hard to run out of mana. Doing that, Darshan giving respect to Svenskeren, doesn't get to stay to kill off the pink ward. A trinket ward comes down as well from Sven, making sure that you can see Darshan coming back in, and TSM continue to wrest control of these wards pretty well away from CLG.
Yeah, and really waiting for Darshan to turn on as well in this game, because like we said, COD falls in that early disadvantage, and they're not really looking to make plays. Probably wait a little bit for Stixxay to combo a gank with the Rek'Sai, but they have to be very careful, you know? They're getting double teleport from TSM, so a lot of that aggression would also be cycled.
Nice Black Shield on Reflex by Afro. Gets him away from Yellow Star, but still there's so much damage from Doublelift, but now Smithy's gotten all the way around the map.
There's a gank top lane as well.
Gets some damage on a Doublelift. Yellow Star tanks the arrow, but who even cares? Darshan forced a flash away. Bjergsen can't quite get the ulti in. Good preemptive flash by Darshan to get away. Top lane was focused. He had to run away, but same for TSM's dual lane.
Flurry of action right there. I mean, normally that's a super dangerous gank for Xmithy to make because the double teleports that could come in for the potential counter gank. But TSM instead had been attempting a 3-man dive top lane to get the turret, and miraculously Darshan actually avoids it.
Yep.
Lissandra used the claw and a flash and was unable to lock down a kill on a Catalyst tier rise. But they do trade turrets, and now TSM can pick the Rift Herald up on the backside. But COG has to trade as well. This is actually very good for COG. They've been disadvantaged in so many ways, and they're up against double teleport. But to make a trade like this happen is possible.
Being able to go close to equal is not bad. All said and done, it is plus advantage Rift Herald, but then plus Dragon, of course, for CLG. They got this side of the map as well for themselves. So yeah, a completely equal thing. Outer turrets went down, laners got away, burning summoner spells or ultimates in some cases, and then the neutral objective on that side of the map grabbed by their respective teams here. So again, chat, a very equal trade, just sort of illustrating the things that were grabbed by each of these teams. He stays at that -20 mark under Bjergsen after the solo kill. Not growing the disadvantage really in any meaningful way. So, you know, he is staying in this one despite being disadvantaged, despite losing blue buffs a couple of times by TSM's counter jungling.
Yeah. Victor can be 0-5 and still wreck a team fight in the game.
Absolutely.
As long as he's getting his farm. And it's very hard to push against a Victor. Once he upgrades his E, now he's got 2 upgrades into his Hex Core, so he will be able to have faster move speed as well when he lands his Q and first rank of boost. So it's actually pretty difficult to push Huhi in hard. What Bjergsen should be looking to do is roam, which is why he roamed top lane to get the turret and attempt the kill on Darshan.
Right, you're Lissandra. You can force ganks all the time, and in fact, all these lanes have a lot of damage that he can sort of contribute to CC too. So TSM definitely have a lot of plays available in their book. As you mentioned, the double teleport certainly a threat as well. They haven't used them to any fights just yet, but that can certainly be coming in the near future. Svenskeren going to try to take what control he can. Of course, he's got a ward on that red buff. Smithy going to have to outplay it, and this one does go to Svenskeren. Nice Q into Smite. Takes the red buff away. Well played.
Finally, he gets one. For all of his counter-jungling attempts, he's actually down in CS to Smithy's
Bro, wow. Headbutt into flash, pulverize, but where's the team? Stixxay gets the arrow out of Svenskeren. Yellowstar's cooldowns are up pretty soon. Pops the ulti, waits out the black shield. That'll be a pulverize. No, he has a flash way to get away from this one. Now the ulti in from the Morgana, and a fight on the backside. Smithy getting found out. TSM turns around right away. The flash to chase. Smithy goes down. The third kill of the game for TSM, and now the re-engage. They picked up Stixxay CLG, heavily overstaying. Hui walks in only to flash right back out. Bjergsen gets done, but who even cares? He's outside of turret range. 5-0 TSM.
Wow, a 3-for-0 fight right there, and what looked like Yellowstar going real early, but at the same time, CLG was in retreat, and Yellowstar going did delay them. All teleports being burned except for Bjergsen's right there, but one teleport traded between them. Yeah, look at how fast he goes. He's also outrange of Fate's Call right now if he wanted to chain the knockup yet again, because Double is so far behind. Sven takes the arrow to face, but it's a short-range arrow, so he's unstunned fairly quickly. Yellowstar then goes all the way into the turret, is dove out, but with that super dive, CLG actually comes in behind them because they're looking to turn, and they themselves get collapsed on because Stixxay and Afro had already used all their engage on the backside. Svenskeren lands a bunch of damage, and then CLG just has to full retreat. This is looking like TSM's going to be pulling away with a pretty large lead.
Yeah, and it's a team that we've been criticizing and everyone's been criticizing for coordination issues, winning via mostly small skirmishes, right? The mid lane fight for the second kill, the 3 down here. These are all these scrappy fights where you've got to constantly turn back around and find someone else to kill, and every single time it's TSM doing it better. And that last fight was only a 1,000 gold lead. It's not like these teams had very different, you know, values of inventories. TSM just played better.
And this is also a very big game for TSM to win, just mentally, because they have only really been beating the teams at the bottom of the standings, which is a familiar thing to say for TSM, even though their team is so different right now. You look at last split, the big criticism was, well, they can kind of take care of business against the bottom half, and they lose to the best teams. The same thing was happening again this year. Their talent was carrying them through, and they didn't have the cohesion to beat any of the top teams. But maybe this is the first game where TSM actually starts kind of living up to their potential.
And they might be doing that right here. To illustrate the point, their losses this season, those 3 are Immortal, CLG, and C9, the teams that they are battling for the top of the standings. This would be their first win against one of those big 4, big 3 of this split. We'll see if they can do it right here. 5-0 up against Counter Logic Gaming. 5,000 gold up's got to feel really good 17 minutes in. And that is a lead you can work with for sure. 30 minion lead for the top lane, 30 minion lead for the mid lane here. Hauntzer and Bjergsen poised to do a whole lot in team fights.
And there's still some big standing gold left on the map here. Darshan still trying to split push, just completed his Rod of Aegis, and Bjergsen doesn't actually want to take that because they're just looking for turret gold right here, which they easily acquire.
There we go. Mid lane outer is gone 3 turrets to 1 in TSM's favor right here. Bot lane outer did go down off of the much earlier dives that occurred. Bjergsen split pushing to the bottom lane. He has teleport up right now, so he can split away from the team. Hauntzer has split to the top lane as well, keeping minions under control there. And the rest of the squad able to just sit mid, recall, or take away Scuttle Crabs. And in this case, Rift Herald.
Yeah, let's get a second Rift Herald for TSM.
I don't think Sven can solo
this. 20 minutes. Yeah, well, he's got friends on the way. Graves, no Elise there that can steal it back. I wonder if Smithy can get a Price Seeker in there to steal it
Smithy sees they're around. Smite is not up for Smithy, not up for Svenskeren either, actually. The team can come around. It could be a chance for a steal.
Yeah, he would really need a teammate. Smithy has no help. He's just trying to delay.
Nope. Hope for the random steal. Won't get it. Red team is lane Rift Herald. TSM gets that for the second time this game, and they give it to Hauntzer. Try to keep pushing the advantage in this game. As a split pusher, his TP is back up basically right now.
I think that's appropriate. He also has Mercury Treads to go up against the Rise.
Yeah.
Even though Swiftness boots and cooldown boots are so in right now because of their incredibly low cost on this patch.
But he's up against an Astra, he's up against Dark Binding, he's up against Rise the champion. There's a lot to deal with. CLG sadly We're out of patience on this Raptor. Let it reset. Smithy takes it back down. Just a game controlled by TSM. CLG have not been able to dictate anything, and this is the team that second round picked Ashe. They said, yeah, we got to get the engage tools. Essence Reaver, Ashe, low cooldowns here. Zertgreaves kind of weird in my opinion, but try to get the CDR on Ashe to toss the arrows out to make these engages happen, but we're seeing no viable targets really for CLG. They haven't really found anything to do with this champion.
Right, and we really do have to question COD's game plan coming into this one, giving so many power picks over to TSM, even after first picking Rise, and then CLG just doesn't really seem like they're playing to their strengths. They're not lane swapping. They gave a lot of the pick potential and the split pushing to TSM in the draft. Credit to TSM, though, they took a lot of the good CLG champions away from them. They got the Fiora early on, even though CLG took it away from themselves. Just credit TSM for a good draft, but it's also very confusing that CLG not only had a strange draft, but also didn't lane swap coming into this one. And it's costing them pretty huge.
Ooh, big bind, big knock. They go in for Svenskar, and first a lot of burst, and there's the arrow. No, it gets tanked by the Alistar, I think, on the way out. And there's the kill already out of the Ashe. After running away, nearly getting taken down by Bjergsen. A couple more autos will do it, and Hanser gets the kill to Xmithie. A 2-for-0 TSM. Counter Logic Gaming can't buy a kill.
Yeah, and it's so hard to fight with these big gold disadvantages, especially if things don't go exactly your way. The Ashe Arrow, like you said, I think it got tanked by the Alistar on the way out, and Hanser, with that Rift Herald buff, is just way stronger than Darshan.
Easy 1v1, pops the ult, he doesn't even take damage after the heal at the end of it all. And now Afmu on the wrong side of this map. He's in the wrong neighborhood. Hanser says, hey, welcome to TSM Town.
You want to bind him.
And jeez.
But he's just going to riposte it and stun you with it anyway.
Q auto Titanic Hydra in about half a second, gets hit 3 times.
And Freak, this is turning into a giant statement game from TSM.
Yeah.
1 Reek removed from 2 really sloppy games. Now looking to get a flawless kill game against CLG. Here, yeah, looked like it just hit the Fates Calling Alistar or something. That Ashe Arrow just disappeared. Not sure if that's how the interaction is supposed to work, but we'll assume it does. Here, Hanser as well, killing Xmithie by proccing a Vital on the backside.
And he finds Darshan recalling, looks like, in the jungle.
Yeah.
As he was recalling randomly over by the red buff and still managed to die. So TSM super far ahead now. This looks so good for them, and TSM fans can be really happy about their team finally knocking down a top-tier team here in the North American LCS, and they're poised to do so. 22 minutes in, 8,000 gold up. Starting to take over CLG's jungle as well. Baron is on the field. Bjergsen is once again split pushing with his teleport up.
Yeah, during last week, TSM kind of looked like they're at their wits' end mentally, but you hate to credit like one person for doing all this thing, because it's obviously the players that have improved, and there's a lot of coaching that goes into this and all these other things, but really questioning their coaching staff for bad game plans. You're questioning their mentality. They brought in a sports psychologist, Weldon, who actually worked with CLG last year during their run in the playoffs and towards the NALCS championship. Someone Doublelift respects greatly. And he talked a lot about just not playing with the expectation of winning and taking every game as the game. So to actually kind of take pride in every win, even if they're expecting to win in 20 minutes, it's that they shouldn't expect to win in 20 minutes. And that what will actually lead to lopsided victories, because you're going and taking the victory instead of waiting for it to come to you. And that looks like what TSM is doing here. Bjergsen aggressive in the mid lane, trying to go for the kill. Yellowstar flying in very early for team fights. Hanser going off on Fiora. This is
the
a
new
totally
TSM.
different team than we saw last week.
Yeah, and of course a very different team from what we saw last year as well. It's everyone really doing a whole bunch of good work. Yellowstar tossed into the team, finds the knock on Huhi and Aframu, and there's the burst down. Support is dropped. Xmithie on the front line, not as tanky as an Alistar. Big set of burst comes off from Huhi, but it's not going to do nearly all that much. Bjergsen can just sit under the Chaos Storm and really not care at all. 10-0 TSM continuing to shut CLG's kills down.
Yep, pings go on Baron because Huhi was pushed so far back, but they think better of it. I think they're a little bit hesitant on this Baron. They're going to go clear vision.
They're going to let Bjergsen recall and TP back in. It looks like the team will happily start up on it.
They have Callista and a Smite, so the Smite steal shouldn't happen. If anything stops them, though, it will be a Rise being able to get damage off and create chaos before the Baron. Now they're looking to peel off, maybe for a catch on Darshan.
He's going to get right behind Darshan. That's exactly what it was, and the Rise is caught in the wrong spot. Great setup by TSM to get those wards in the right spot, to get the TP to come through, and now it's Xmithie exhausted, running away through tunnels. Stixxay, 1v1 of Sven Scared. I'm pretty sure Sven would win that fight, and Stixxay having to run out. Another pickoff in favor of TSM, 11-0. Damage comes through. Haunter dangerously injured right here, but can he get away with enough hop? Smithy around the side as well. Nice pulverized by Yellowstar, and now Haunter gonna hide under the turret. Huhi and Smithy still coming around. How good's their post gonna be? Pops the ulti, pops in the damage. Finally a kill on the board for Counter Logic Gaming, but they're still so far behind.
Yeah, the attempt at a Baron bait goes a little bit awry right there because they do get one kill, but they get a shutdown onto Haunter, and in CLG's small, tiny window back into a little bit of gold. At the end of the day, though, I don't think it has a large impact on the game. CLG is going to get maybe a turret, and Bjergsen got to push mid lane, so still, Freak, a 10,000 gold difference.
Top lane Adder is down. Svenskeren is on the flank. Stixxay and Aframu in front.
Nice
Fine, he's gonna miss a big person of Stixxay. He's gonna get hit with the Q. He's got a run and it still gets him. Flash or not, this will be a 2-0. The red comes through. Doublets and Svenskeren taking him down as the two marksmen on the team. 13-1, TSM have control.
Yeah, unless you're flashing horizontally, that Graves ultimate has range, and it definitely killed Stixxay post-flash. Aframu was just easy pickings after his 80 carry was dead, and Svenskeren going off this game on Graves.
Doing wonderful stuff. 4-0 and 5. TSM almost entirely deathless. Just the one on Haunter on the tower dive earlier on, and that led to a 2-0, so you can't even complain too much about that one. TSM looking to close this one out now. 10,000 gold up. Yep. They are hugely ahead. Looking for the dive. Good burst by Huhi, though. Forces the 80 carry back in, but a knock up into the wall. Smithy taking a fair bit of punishment, but keep in mind TSM's carries are low as well. CLG really want back in, and they will do so. That's a 1-for-1. Now can Darshan find someone else? Haunter on the wings, looking for the way in. He finds Darshan. Forces the flash. He gets exhausted as well. Rooted in place, but still wants the kill. Yellowstar goes in. Makes it happen. Haunter gets the kill. That's 3 picked up for what is Bjergsen into the back line, finds another. 17-3 TSM. Only Huhi is alive.
Big chaos happens right there, and it's because TSM was trying to push a little too hard, but they still get away with it because their giant gold lead. Haunter and Bjergsen arrive very late in the fight. Huhi actually escaped around the back for now. Yellowstar is still trying to play with them here, but he's worried about getting one shot. All the while, the inhibitor is going down.
Yellowstar plays it pretty well. Huhi headbutted out of range. Gravity will stun him. Yeah, that should be a kill on Yellowstar, but the inhibitor goes down for that one. Huhi has to recall once again.
Yeah.
Will be safe.
You know, I appreciate the effort there by Yellowstar.
Yeah, sure.
But a Victor wasn't stopping Lysandre and Fiora from taking an open inhibitor, so kind of gives back an unnecessary kill there. Still 12,000 gold lead, will not matter at the end of the day. And TSM is still looking to make plays and playing very aggressively, which is the style they set out to have when they acquired this roster.
You see that fight once again, and it's just the CC into the wall and just how tanky this front line is.
Absolutely, and it was a little bit of an awkward start. Huhi actually had very good skill usage early on in this fight, getting the chunk down on the double lift so he would be able to follow Yellowstar through. And here, Haunter and Bjergsen finally arrive at the fight. They push in the back, but Svenskeren stays alive through most of this. Bjergsen gets a beautiful combo onto 2 squishes on the backside, and as we saw, Haunter was able to take down Rise by proccing some of the vitals as well.
Bjergsen, like, I think actually soloed the bot lane of CLG in that fight.
Yeah.
Does a lot of damage. He's got a lot of items here in the mid lane. Whoa, Bjergsen caught out in the arrow was the reason that even happened, so a nice pickup there. That Ashe paying off a little bit, but CLG have so much to work through.
Yeah, CLG not quitting. Bjergsen, no flash, no Mikhail's, new QSS anywhere on that team. So if an Ashe arrow does land on a Bjergsen, they have the ability to combo. But the threat is diverse from TSM. Haunter's down in the bottom lane, actually without teleport. So they could sacrifice an inhibitor for a Baron play, but they're not willing to make that risk.
Now they see what happened when Darshan got Fiora. He split pushed the entire game down. Now Afro, whoa, way too far up, gets exploded by TSM. Here comes the Fates call, pulling Alistair right back into the team. Here gonna be just fine. They find the knockup into Smithy, an easy kill picked up. Meanwhile, Haunter soloed Darshan to the bot lane, and TSM having a 4 versus 2 can push right into the base.
Yeah, and when Bjergsen revives, he will be able to teleport in as well to make it a 5v2 with massive mini waves. This is gonna be a TSM win.
Wow, he got the kill without even using the ulti. Haunter takes down another member as Huhi drops. That will be the game. That will be TSM slaughtering Counter Logic Gaming in under 30 minutes and taking second place for themselves.
Yeah, this was a completely different TSM team, and this is the happiest they have looked after a game all split.
Yep.
This is the first time we have seen Bjergsen really look like himself of old when he's making the kills in the mid lane. Haunter continues to have good performances, but is now enabled by the rest of his team. And Yellowstar was getting the follow-up on a lot of his seemingly